What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Six Psycho Surgeon, the operator here on the MBK channel, and I'm joined here today with Knight Orenstein. Yes, it is the Knight Orenstein, the one you all love and know from Dark Souls, the crushing, soul-clenching horror that beneaths you, that takes your soul, rips it from your body, gives you a second chance to rise back and claim it once again. Knight, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Sadly, Smo's not here.
Damn.
You know, it would always be nice to see him again, but his fat ass got diabetes and died.
All right. Well, that's lovely. Anyway, okay. So the topic, as you're going to see from the title, the topic today is going to be Dead Space 4. Now, there's been a lot of talk, and I haven't really seen, honestly, any videos to cover this yet. A lot of people are, saying what they want in Dead Space 4 and all this kind of stuff, but I really haven't seen any videos discussing this. I was digging around today on the internet on my phone, and I saw something incredible. I saw an actual... Now, this was not from theory, this was not from speculation. This was an article that was claiming a discussion between Visceral, EA, and an anonymous reporter, asking them about a possibility of a Dead Space 4, and they just simply said, oh, there's going to be one, and we're pushing for a 2017 date to early 2018. That just shocked me. The reporter was shocked, as he or she stated. Now, the problem I see with this is they claim that they have not even started production on it yet. They haven't started working on it. EA is, they really don't want too much of a part in it, since, Dead Space 3, and, that was with a good reason. That's one reason why I hate
Frosty the Snowman adventure.
Exactly, of Dead Space 3, and, I'm going to give you a few points of why I didn't like Dead Space 3, and then Knight's going to give you a few points of why he didn't like Dead Space 3. Knight, warning, no stealing my... Okay, just in a second we will get to that, okay? But too much snow is duly noted. And EA, otherwise known as...
Space.
Shut the hell up. Too much... You got me saying too much snow. EA, otherwise known as Lucifer of the gaming world, they have, they've made a lot. I mean, let's look at Titanfall. Now, I know a lot of people liked Titanfall, claimed they liked Titanfall before. Yeah, exactly. And, after the first update, pretty much everybody hated it. Now, a lot of people have been asking me on Twitter, do you just hate Xbox games, or do you just hate Xbox companies? EA started out as mainly an Xbox company. Granted, they did do, well, Electronic Arts. We all know that EA was responsible for a lot of the Madden, NCAA series, and stuff like that was on both platforms. But EA mainly stuck to Xbox.
It touched on Nintendo for like 3 years.
Exactly, and EA, though, was mainly a Microsoft company. They made a lot of Microsoft, a lot of Microsoft-only titles, much like, Bungie did, 343 now does, the Bungie wannabes. So, a lot of people ask me that. No, actually, just to clear something up, I used to be a big Xbox fan. I'm still a very big fan of the 360. As horrible of a actual built console it was, they broke down a lot and stuff like that, Red Ring of Death and whatnot. But I actually was a big 360 fan. Did not like PS3. Thought PS3 was just not user-friendly, wasn't compatible, didn't have a lot of great PlayStation titles at the time, except for probably God of War. But, so let's just cover that real quick. I do not hate EA because they were affiliated with Xbox for so long and stuff like that. It's not about that, and I don't hate Titanfall because it's affiliated with Xbox. I just did not care for the Xbox One. The PlayStation 4 was superior. That's that. So, moving on. EA did not want to have anything really to do with it, but they are still going to fund it. Now, EA was the main reason that Visceral Games, legacy of a game bombed. EA was responsible for a lot of the enhancements. They originally funded the first two, which were amazing Dead Space games, especially the first one. That reinvented the line of horror survival, or survival horror, survival action, horror action, stuff like that. Those genres, it reinvented them.
Story-driven survival, crawl in a tiny little space and get your dick ripped off.
There you go. It reinvented those, it reinvented that genre. So the first Dead Space was revolutionary. The second one made even a bigger bust because of its now larger scape. It wasn't just the Ishimura, and it wasn't just for the 5 minutes, Mars. Or, well, the unknown planet. It wasn't, they didn't specify it was Mars, but it was Mars, goddammit. Anyway, so You know, after
Hey,
EA
man, it could've
really
been
came
Jupiter.
in. Shut the hell up. Jupiter's nothing but, yeah, never mind. Anyway, EA was responsible for the layout and the cooperative gameplay that everyone hated for Dead Space 3. So I'm going to point out a few things why I didn't like Dead Space 3, and as I said before, Knight as well too. So the first thing that I hated about Dead Space 3 was the co-op. Dead Space to me was a game built around horror, okay? Dead Space, and this is just from personal, you know, this is just me, I'm not trying to be a poet or I'm trying to be a philosopher, author, or whatever, but to me this is Dead Space. Gripping loneliness. Shut up. Gripping loneliness. The fear that you are suffocated in this small, enclosed, claustrophobic space. Limited light and no help. The NPCs are no help to you. They will not make your life easier. They actually, most of the time, trying to help, end up screwing you over and putting you in more peril. As blood gushes from these horrible anthropomorphic creatures, the corpses of the dead rise through a marker, and as they come at you, the only thing they have in their mind at that moment is kill Isaac Clarke, you. They want you dead, and the claustrophobia sits in. The clutching darkness grabs a hold of your soul, and as it does, that little bit of hope you had is now lost. That's what Dead Space is supposed to be about. Hope lost. Paradise Lost. Great book. Read it. That's what it's about to me. They took that away when they made the open world concept and made the cooperative concept. They just ripped that away from the game. They took that away. So that's one reason I hated the cooperative, and I'll just go ahead and count that as the open world concept as well. Not to mention it was poorly made and poorly designed. Thanks EA and Visceral. You're not out of the woods on this one. I was about to say forest. You're not out of the woods on this one, EA. Visceral. You allowed them to do this. I don't give a shit if they funded the first one. You had well enough money to do it yourself. On the second go around, you didn't, on the second go around, you damn sure had enough on the third go around. You didn't have to let them push you around. So, Knight, let's go to you. What was a couple of things that you hated about Dead Space 3?
Honestly, just way too much snow and way too much emphasis on it being snowy and cold. Like, I understand it's a snow planet or area, fucking whatever it was, wherever it was. But you don't have to throw a blizzard at me every other mission. Okay? You don't have to throw some sort of extreme storm making it impossible for me to get somewhere that I really need to go just for whatever hell reason that you want. And the next thing I hated was lack of direction unless you were in a closed facility. You weren't really told where to go except for get this, get that to do this. Sure, you had your little marker for about half the game. Honestly, if you want to go play the game, you'll see that little direction marker for only about half of it. You can hold me to that one. But they kind of put you on a leash, but as soon as you were outside of a building, they're just like, okay, you're free. Go figure out what you're supposed to do besides this really 3-second snippet of dialogue.
And you see, for me, another thing that goes back to that is, with the open world landscape, in a sense, it could have made it. It could have been a good idea if it would have stuck to the city. You see, that claustrophobia, it goes back to that claustrophobia. One thing that kept Dead Space that made it apart, let's take Resident Evil for instance. And I'm not talking about any other Resident Evil other than Resident Evil, the original. And now the remake, which is on PlayStation 4, by the way. I highly recommend you guys go check this out. This is not paid by PlayStation to say this. My subscriber and view rate actually says that.
We're not good enough to be sponsored by PlayStation.
Exactly. So, it's not, but I have personally played it. Huge fan of the original game. Not the original 3 games. I was a huge fan of the original 3. Everything else after that, except for 4, maybe. I liked 4. It was okay. But everything else after that. Yeah, but it had nothing to do with the original story. Then again, none of the games really had nothing to do with the original story anyway. Not even the first one. But read the books. Okay, that's all I can say. But going to that, Resident Evil was known for its claustrophobia.
Well.
Yeah, ignore them. Anyway, but you know, Resident Evil, it was claustrophobic, and that's what set it apart from most horror games. A lot of people hated the original camera angles in the game. They were put there to make the game that much scarier and harder. They were put there so it would be harder to shoot. They put in the slower shooting because it makes it scarier. Even look at newer Dead Space games. You're slow as hell to shoot. Your character moves slow. Even now with the 3D camera angles, the camera angles still suck, and the reason is because it puts in that, you know, in the back of your head, it puts that look over your shoulder constantly fear into your head. That was the point of it. Dead Space really took a toll with that, or really took an idea from the original Resident Evil series by complementing that not only with claustrophobia but poor lighting. As we know, Resident Evils, they have been known to have great lighting most of the time, and 90% of them you can see everything very well, because especially when the original game came out, the concept of flashlights wasn't really a big deal. But even with the newer Resident Evils, flashlights aren't really a big deal. Poor lighting equals horror, because in most people's mind, you know, you go to your house right now, you know there's nothing in it. It's not foreign, it's dark. Well, unless you're just a paranoid chicken shit of everything, even if it's dark, you don't give a damn. You're just like, oh, I need to find a light switch. No big deal. You hear something bump, what's the first thing that goes to your mind? 90% of people is a burglar. Some people ghost, whatever. But the point is that you don't freak out most of the time. You don't panic or anything. You investigate, you turn on the light, you investigate. Now think about something. You go to Walmart and all the lights shut off. Even though it's just Walmart, it's a foreign environment. You don't live there. You're not familiar with the layout of the environment like it's secondhand. That shit, now turn off all the lights and make it dead silent and have you walking around with a little bitty beam of light. You will freak the fuck out.
Even with an industrial fucking flashlight, you know, those big ones.
Yeah, there you go.
Even if you have one of those, if something moves or falls off of something, you're gonna freak out in one way or another. I'm not saying shit your pants or anything, but you're gonna get scared.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Dead Space never intended. It's not like take Five Nights at Freddy's, for instance, FNAF. Take any of those games. The horror behind those games was poor lighting and poor visual. Regardless of what people say about the animatronics, that was not the big picture. The big picture was putting you in a creepy, you know, foreign environment that you didn't understand, you're not familiar with. You don't know. There we go. That's the biggest thing. You don't know what's around the corner. With Dead Space, unless you played the game 2 or 3 times, like I did, I beat it about 9 times. Unless you did that, you don't know the environment right off your hand. You don't know where a necromorph could pop up from. And here's the biggest thing: silent enemies. Necromorphs were quiet as hell. You never knew if there was going to be one right around the corner.
Literally within spitting distance.
Exactly, and by then they're already chopping at you with those long, elongated, curved bone hand arm things.
I never really understood how human arms turned into those giant spike things. But
well, here's a fun fact.
Science.
That's right. You know, because of reasons. Because of reasons, people. Now, here's a fun fact. With Dead Space, the creators, Visceral Games, how they, you notice how the necromorphs look kind of weird and they look misshapen, but you're thinking to yourself, where did they get the idea for this? The creators actually Google imaged, and from gore.com, which if you've never heard of it, I do not recommend if you have a weak stomach or have a fear. Some people have a subconscious fear of seeing dead things, they can't handle it. They actually Googled car crash.
We still don't advise it.
No, we do not advise it. We do not condone anything that happens to you, nausea, or any type of medical disorders. If you have a weak heart and anything like that, we do not approve this, and we are not encouraging it. So, you know, what they actually did.
Responsible for anything that may or may not happen.
Right. Now, they actually Googled images of car crash victims and mangled murder victims, so they could get the most detailed, gruesome look for their enemies. That is a fact. They actually did that, and you know what? It might be weird and all that kind of stuff, but hey, whatever. It made it work.
The artist went home with PTSD after the project was over.
Exactly. So anyway, you know, that was our thoughts on Dead Space. That's what we didn't like, and in the next episode we will cover, me and Knight here will cover what we want to see out of Dead Space. But this is to let you guys know that Dead Space 4 is pretty much confirmed by now. Visceral Games admitted to it. EA admitted to, you know, joining in and hitching on to the project. Hopefully they won't put their grubby little satanic hands on it. I don't even know what to call those people anymore. But anyway, this is your boy, the Sixth Psychosurgeon, the Operator. I'm here with the Knight. Peace!